Hello YouTube, this is Baylor Mage again, and we're bringing you another build. In the background you can see the build. It's something I've had a lot of fun playing for a few days here, which is Blade Vortex, specifically a Blade Vortex Bog Shaman. I ended up with 17,000 max life. This can easily get to 20. I did not take it further than this, but it's been a long time since Blade Vortex has been not just viable, but like good to play. It's been viable here and there for a while, but it's not been good to play until now, in quite some time. So I've been really enjoying it. The benefits of being the Bog Shaman is that you get to stack the absolute crap out of life regen, different forms of recovery, and just have a massive hit pool. Because of that, we end up with quite a large max hit in all types, which we'll get into in the path of building. To mix with that, we get to use the Wrath Pith Globe, nailed it, Titanium Spirit Shield, which increases our spell damage and our spell critical strike chance per 100 maximum life. So maximum life scales our defense and maximum life scales our offense. Now, it is worth noting at this point, I did not put this build together. This is an important thing for some reason to point out. This gear all doesn't belong to me. I played the build, made some minor alterations. It is somebody from my chat's build. I've been playing it for a few days. None of this stuff was mine. I am just bringing it to people because it was super fun to play. It is a little on the expensive side, but not too bad. But it was real fun to play. I really enjoyed Blade Vortex, and more people have to know about it. So let's jump in game and have a look. All right, so here we are. One of the most amount of life I've ever had. One of the more tanky builds I've ever played. And most importantly, why Blade Vortex is working now when it hasn't really done very well in the past, which is because of Bog Shaman's 50% area and 50% duration. We get an 8.8 second duration on Blade Vortex and a decently sizable area on it, which are its two weak points. That's why it doesn't work very well. With an 8.8 second duration, that means we only need to tap Blade Vortex a little less than once every 4 seconds, which is very much easy, very much not a lot. We just get to run around and just tap it once every 4 seconds or so. That keeps us at our 10 stack. That is absolutely fantastic. And that comes from this node right here, which gives us 50% skill effect duration and 50% area. That is the main reason. That mixed with one duration wheel, the more skill effect duration, all those mixed together gives us all the duration we need. We've got the 50% area there. We've got a little bit of area here and a tiny bit of area here. One assert dominance and one towering threat. So we actually do have 25% increased area on top of what we see here. In the background footage at the beginning of the video, you'll have seen some points where I drop life. It is important to know I'm the one doing that. And if you spam Blade Vortex, you will very quickly run out of life. That is dangerous. We also do not need to do that. It is the only way you take much, if any, damage. And that is for two reasons. Sacrifice 10% of your life when you use or trigger a spell. And then we've got actually, I think that's it. It's just, is it just that? Yeah, it's just that. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. But as you can see, our regen is phenomenal. Like if I bring this all the way down to 0, and in just 3 seconds or so, we're at 17,000. So if we pull up the path of building, you'll see a few things. One, our net recovery, which is after the degen from Righteous Fire, is still 5,200 from just the regen. There is also 3.9k leech, which we grab from the gloves, which we probably don't need, to be honest. But just the regen will do. But because of the massive hit pool, some endurance charges, and everything else going on with this build, our max hits are pretty gross on the elemental. We have max fire resed up a bit. I could have gone further with that. I could have got one more jewel that had +2 on it, and that would have given me even more regen. I could have taken some of my life nodes, especially since I've got like all of these, and I could have thrown them in here to get more resistances instead, get that fire res up to 90. But frankly, with the amount of regen that we have, absolutely unnecessary. A really big thing is because we are using a Caspiro here to get rid of all stat requirements, it does mean that we can put 3.3% life regeneration on each strength node, of which there are quite a few. Quite importantly though, let's see what happens to our regen if we take one off. We've got regen of 6.7k right now. And if we just reset one node, we go to 6.6. So it's nearly 100 regen per node, which is absolutely crazy because every single one of them ends up being a regen node. Every single strength node of the entire tree ends up being a regen node. We do need some chance to hinder. I probably went overboard. I went and got 20% chance to hinder. That's probably over the top. But they were also quite cheap. There are some increased chaos damage tattoos on that I also didn't really need. They didn't do a lot with the amount of increase we get from the shield, but I thought, hey, I might as well use them for something. I ended up using my 1 dex node on movement speed, 2% movement speed, not a big deal. But let's see, what else is important in this build? What else is important in this build? Right, so a few things. The flat regen rolls that I have on 2 pieces of gear in this path of building, very much not important. While they help a lot early, if they're like the first gear you're crafting and you've like started this build on a budget, those flat nodes help a lot. The more and more health you get, the less relevant that is. 88 flat is less than 1 tattoo. So both of those nodes are less than 1 tattoo. Whereas something like on the helmet here, 8% life regeneration, that helps a lot. That is quite good. Percentage increase, fantastic. We love that. Otherwise, there's one other thing that stands out here, which is we actually have a floating node here and a floating node here. Those are important if we want endurance charges, because we only have one way to generate them, and that is on the implicit of our chest. We have gained an endurance charge every 13 seconds between our increased duration. That increased duration might not even work. It feels like it is though. Between everything we've got and these 2 floating nodes, we have 1 extra second. Our endurance charge falls off every 14 seconds, but every 13 we make a new one. So that is permanent endurance charges with a little bit of wind up. It is worth noting, if you drop the endurance charges, it's not that big of a deal. It really isn't that big of a deal. You've still got a 39k max hit fizz, which is fantastic, which does mean you could use something else in your chest there, and then you could drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, right? Those could be points in your max res. They could be more life nodes. You could come down here for more life, or you could come all the way across here and do the normal scion trick that people do with the unnatural and the light of meaning, and you could grab a bunch of extra damage down there if you wanted to do that. That being said, our total DPS is only around 8 million. That's not super impressive. It's more of a relaxed, fast clearing ability to use Blade Vortex for fun style build. The damage, not really that high. It is set to Guardian Pinnacle, and it does not include our Vile Blade Vortexes, of which we will have 2. According to Path of Building, Vile Blade Vortex with 2 charges is really only going to give me 2.2 mil extra DPS though. So we have them, but I am not counting them as up. Just set myself back to 1. I'm not counting them as up, so we're just shy of 8 mil, which is decently acceptable. I'm fine with it. It never caused any problems. More than enough for everything I'm doing. It is enough to clear a tier 17. It is probably not enough to do like super giga juiced tier 17s. I would not want to be doing exile strats on this build, but for everything else, it's been fantastically fun. Just thought I'd share that one in case anybody else missed Blade Vortex as much as I did. Here is a build we can run Blade Vortex on. So that's all I have. I will see everybody next time. Bye bye.